Good afternoon. I want to thank all. Reached a confidential settlement agreement. The city of Montgomery entered into this settlement to help all parties avoid any uncertainty and unnecessary litigation expenses in a painful chapter in this city's history. This settlement is not going to bring Mr. Gunn back. It's not going to change the past. However, what we hope that this settlement will do is we hope that this will allow us to turn the page and move forward as a community, as a city, as an administration, and that includes our police department protecting and serving everyone in this community. And so we would like to make that announcement and bring that chapter to a close so that we can all move forward together. And I want to commend the city, the community members, many leaders for not allowing this unfortunate incident to tear the city apart. We know enough that in the past that has happened not only here in Montgomery, but it's happening in other communities. And so I want to commend all parties involved, as well as the Gunn family, for their role in trying to maintain a sense of peace and a sense of collaboration as they work through a very trying time in their family and for those who knew him as well. As a city administration, we will learn from any mistakes that were made, and we will continue to try to do better by everyone that we serve in this community going forward, and it's something that we will make a priority in how we approach all things in this city with equality and equity. I also want to talk very briefly about some steps to reopening Montgomery and reopening the state of Alabama. We recognize people are eager to work, get back to normal, but we are far from being in the clear. I think it's very important that we not get a false sense of security from some of the low numbers that we may see here in Alabama regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, because it's important to understand that less than 1% of our population has been tested. It's important that we understand there's still a lot of unknowns that exist right now, and there are still things that we're trying to track down in the health community as well as on the government side. And so while we're excited that people are looking forward to getting back to work, and we know people are restless and want to get back to normal, we want to make sure that we do that very strategically and very deliberately. And it's important that we do that not just for the short-term benefit that we may have by getting back to work and getting things going again in this city and in this state, but that we consider the long-term ramifications of those choices. And so I think it's very important that as these conversations are being had, that we maintain the practices that have gotten us where we are right now, and that is continuing to practice social distancing, continuing to shelter in place, making sure that we're washing our hands and we are sanitizing all those things that we can, from our cell phones to our remote controls to doorknobs and anything else that we may come in contact with. It's very important that we continue these practices so that we don't see our healthcare system overwhelmed. Because right now we have not reached the peak here in Montgomery, and we've not reached the peak of this pandemic in the state of Alabama. And so while there's a lot of talk about reopening the state of Alabama and getting everyone back to work, we just want to make sure that we are very vigilant about how we approach that and what steps we take. And so I want to continue by saying that we want all of our vulnerable citizens, our seniors, those with pre-existing conditions, to make sure they continue to shelter in place. We will gradually loosen the faucet. And what that means is we want people to go about this very slowly. We know there's national news coming in about what may happen in other places, but we have to take our space here one day at a time, and we have to make sure that we are guarding all options that we may have as a city. And so while we want, along with everyone else, to get our economy back going and we want people to get back to work, we also want to make sure that people are safe and that we have a sense of where the COVID-19 pandemic is right now and how we can manage that. So we want everyone to continue this despite some of the things you may read or despite some of the things you may hear. We are still under a state of emergency in Montgomery, Alabama, and again, we're still under a shelter-in-place order issued by Governor Ivey through the 30th of this month. And so with that being said, we want to recommend that the public do exactly what the city has done, and that is to wear a mask at all times, and that is to wear a mask at all times when in public. It's very important that we do this as a recommendation from the city, because we have instituted a mask policy per best practices to ensure that we're doing our part to keep City of Montgomery employees safe. All departments will make face coverings available to their employees, and all precautions will be taken to screen for symptoms as needed. We want to make sure that we don't see a premature reprisal of this pandemic, and we don't bring about a second wave unintentionally by not taking all the necessary steps we can take here for our city employees. And so with that said, I just want to reinforce my recommendation that all people, residents in the city of Montgomery, wear a mask while in public. It's very, very important that we continue to take these steps and that we continue to take these precautions to not only protect ourselves, but protect our loved ones and our fellow man in this community. And we want to make sure that we are doing all of those things that we can. So with that said, that will conclude the announcements that I have here today, but if there are any questions, I'll be sure to take some of those. Yes. Nothing is opening at this point. We're still under the governor's shelter-in-place order. What we want to make sure is that as the conversations are being had at the state and national level, that people understand that we still have not reached rock bottom, if you will. We still have not gotten to a place where we feel comfortable reopening the city and we feel comfortable allowing things to get back to normal. And believe me, no one is ready to do that more than I am. We love to hear the sound of baseballs, Biscuit Stadium and our little leagues. We love to be able to get our commerce going again, and we love to be able to get out and mingle with one another at our churches and in our organizations, as well as just in our own personal spaces. But we aren't at that place just yet. And while we see some low numbers, it's just important for us to know that we have not had the type of widespread testing in Montgomery or Alabama that is really needed to draw any conclusions of where we might be. And so we have to make sure that while we're inching forward to get back to normal, that may take some time, despite what may be heard in other news outlets or across the board nationally. Well, I think we want to see more testing, and I think we want to see more results, and we certainly want to see a consistent drop in the amount of COVID-19 cases that are being reported. Just in the last 24 hours, we had a 10% increase day over day. So when we see those type of numbers, we know that even with the limited testing, we aren't at a place where we can confidently advise the public or any business owner that they should get back to doing things the way they should, because there's just not enough evidence for us to do that at this point. Yes. Well, I think the governor's shelter-in-place order spells that out pretty well. I'm sorry? The governor has a shelter-in-place order that addresses that. So, okay. So that's how we're going to follow that, and that's what we're going to abide by her orders on group gatherings. Yes. Well, it's been worked on, certainly since I took office, and it's really both sides coming together to really try to address this issue and bring this chapter in our city's history to a close. And again, it does not bring Mr. Gunn back. There's no way to alleviate that pain for his family. It's just something that we have to live by, and it's something that allows us to learn from what took place, for all of us to learn from in leadership and as a community, and to try to move forward the best we can. I've seen it briefly, but I haven't studied it, and so I've not had a chance to talk with Governor Ivey or Lieutenant Governor Ainsworth at this time. So it's something that I'll look forward to reading in these upcoming days. That was against the city. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you all very much. Thank you for being here. Stay safe and stay at home as much as you can. Thanks a lot.